So you want to be a jewelry maker. Well, let's talk about that. First, you have to really decide what kind of jewelry maker you want to be, because there's a number of avenues, a number of career paths that you can actually follow. And if you're doing it for a hobby, that is awesome, because that's where you're going to find your joy and the things that you want to do and want to create from inside of you. Those are what usually gets people into the jewelry field. They'll start with maybe wire wrapping or beading, and eventually they decide, I want to take the next step and get into metalworking. So then you start accumulating tools. You look at Instagram and YouTube, and you see different projects, and you say, I want to learn how to do that. So I would suggest, find a project you want to learn how to do and get the tools required to do that. A lot of times it's not going to be a whole bunch of tools. It might just be, maybe a hammer, a pair of pliers, something like that, and start simple and repeat it until you can do it blindfolded, pretty much, so that you can do it well. And then pick a project that's a little harder. You might have to accumulate a few more tools. Eventually you're going to need a torch and a bench setup, and that's kind of the rabbit hole. Then you start to say, okay, I want to try this project, I want to try that project. I'm going to have to get another tool or a few more tools. And it's nice that way, because you're not saying, I can't do these projects because I don't have all the tools, but you're slowly doing two things. You're getting better at metalsmithing and better at creating things, and you're slowly accumulating tools, because every project that you want to tackle and get good at, you will accumulate the tools to do that well. And then the next project, you accumulate more tools, and the next project, and so on and so on. So you will build your arsenal of tools as well as building your skill set. And that's the joy of doing it. And you would be surprised how quickly you learn that way, and how quickly you're not content with the skill set that you have. So you're going to push yourself further and further to want to learn more. You're going to be like a sponge. You're going to look for avenues to learn more. You're going to look for video courses. You're going to look for YouTube channels and things like that will help you do well. That's the way that most hobbyists start, and that's the way that most people get the joy out of jewelry making. So that's one way. And then eventually you say, okay, I want to create my own line of jewelry, my own brand, my own website, my own Instagram page, so that you can start to sell this jewelry that you've been making, so that you can accumulate money so you could buy more tools. That's the way it works. You never get done buying tools. I mean, you look at this shop that I have. It is just full of tools, and I have a list of things that I still want. So that's one way, is starting out as a hobby, learning different projects, and slowly building your arsenal of tools as well as your skill set. And you would be surprised how much joy you get out of that, because everything you make becomes personal. I know jewelers that they make things, and it's hard for them to sell them because they enjoy them so much, and they do not want to let them go. So then they can't sell them, so they can't afford to buy more tools. So eventually they get to a point where it's like, okay, I've got to get rid of some of the jewelry so that I can afford more stuff. So that's the one path, is turning your hobby into a side hustle, a side business, where you're displaying your jewelry on, like I said, Instagram. Maybe you put together your own Shopify page. Maybe you put together some jewelry and do some small shows. Maybe have them at a coffee shop or something like that, or expand and go to craft shows and things like that. And that's the joy. So that's one career path. Another one is to become a repair jeweler. This is probably the hardest path to go down, because when you open yourself up, I tell people, when you tell your friends and family that you're a jeweler or a jewelry maker, it's kind of like when a doctor lets everybody know that they're a doctor. Pretty soon you've got everybody coming up and pulling up their pant leg and say, can you take a look at this festering wound and tell me what's going on? It's the same way. When everybody knows that you're a jeweler, they start bringing you broken pieces of jewelry. My stone fell out, my chain broke, can you help me? And you're gonna say, yeah, I can help. And pretty soon word gets out and you've got all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Repair jewelry is one of the toughest things. It's because you get stuff handed to you to repair and you don't know the history of it. Sometimes they've been worked on a number of times. They've got solder all over the place, and you take a torch to them and heat them up and they fall apart. One thing that I've found here in the past few years working with repair jewelry is a lot of people bring in chains to be repaired, and the majority of the chains being sold today are all hollow. So it's hard to repair them. I've got a laser welder, and I take a laser welder to them, and I go to laser weld the piece, and it just disintegrates because it's so thin. It's like tin foil, and you really can't repair that stuff. I mean, you can get some super easy solder and go in, and usually you can figure out a way to get them repaired, but it's really not worth the time that you spend working on it, because people go out and they'll buy a chain that looks really nice, and they might spend a couple $100s on it, and then they don't understand why it broke within a few months, and they bring it to you, and you spend an hour trying to repair it, and you have to charge them for your time, and they don't understand why it costs so much to repair something that they don't have a whole bunch of money into. And that's just the nature of cheap jewelry. A lot of the rings and pendants and things, to me, they're all like a vehicle to move diamonds and move stones. So the metal might look good, but if you look at it, it's really thin in certain areas. It's not built to last. It's built to sell and to move diamonds, and they don't last long. The prongs wear down, they break, the stones fall out, and people don't understand. I spent hundreds of dollars on this, and it's like, yeah, well, that's because you've bought it because it was something that looked nice, but you didn't really investigate how it was built, the structure of it. So you'll get a lot of repairs like that as well, and then just random run-of-the-mill repairs come in. I get stuff every day that comes in the door, like this. People bring in like a belt buckle, and it was all bent and worn out. I had to replace it and rebuild it, take the stone out, clean it up. Now I got to reset the stone. The bezel was ripped and torn, so I had to repair that, and it's a two-edged sword, because you get into repair stuff and you get crazy things that come in that are going to make you want to bump your head against the wall, but at the same time you are becoming a better jeweler, because you've got to look at these projects and say, how am I going to accomplish this task with the tools that are in front of me? So you've really got to be thinking outside the box. You've got to be creative and adaptive. And that's one of the things I love about repair jewelry is it's a challenge all the time. Everything is a challenge. So you got to, they bring in all kinds of stuff, and you just got to say, okay, how am I going to figure this out? and do it in a way that is not going to take me 2 or 3 hours, because I've got to pay for my time. So a lot of creative thinking goes into repair work, and that's the thing that I love about repair work. When you get into repairs, the next step is people are going to ask for custom work, and that's one of the things that I really enjoy. Is people will bring in, jewelry that's handed down from their grandmother, and they're not going to wear it because it's not the style that they like, and it's just going to sit in a sock drawer. But then they bring it to you and they say, can we create something that I'm going to enjoy with the metal and the stones that are in this, so that it still has that sentimental value, and they can still carry on that heritage in this story, but they're going to you can help them create something that is they're going to enjoy a lot more. So you get to be a part of that process, which is so much fun. It's the design process where they come with ideas and pictures, and you create things, and a lot of times there's tears that go into that, because it's so sentimental and so emotional. They still will create something that reminds them of where that come from. So there's fun stuff like that. So when you get into repairs, custom work comes along with it. So that is like I said, it's a double-edged sword. It's very rewarding. People will bring in jewelry that they can't utilize and use anymore because it's broken, and you get to bring that back to life and allow them to enjoy it again. So that's the fun, and then everything that comes along with it. So eventually you get into repair work, and you're going to need more equipment. You're going to need laser welders, and if you get into design, you're going to need CAD programs and printers and all that stuff. So it's definitely a deeper rabbit hole to get into. It's fun and it's enjoying, but it's frustrating and all of that stuff. So just do your research before you dive into that. And the third phase of it would be to start your own line of jewelry and get into production jewelry, and you can do that pretty easy. You come up with a nice design, you make a mold of it, you can cast it and reproduce it over and over, and then you don't have to recreate the piece from scratch every single time. You can make a mold and recreate it that way. So that's, at our shop we do all of these things. We've got our own line of jewelry by DeCory, which has got hundreds of pieces that we sell online. We have a shop here that's open to our community for repair and custom work. It's called the JewelryMonk Studio and Training Center, and we also do training classes from time to time, and there's a joy in that as well. So there's so many different avenues you can do it. I'm also a traveling consultant. I travel around the world working with different factories, helping them troubleshoot problems, helping them become more efficient. So when you get into jewelry, there's so many paths that you can follow, and it's a joy. Like I said, I've been doing it for over 40 years, and I'm still learning all the time, which is fun. If I wasn't learning anymore, I would go find something different to do, because I get bored very easy, and if I'm not dumping into that side of me that has a craving to learn more, then I start looking for an exit plan. So jewelry has always filled that. So that's fun. That's part of what I do. So I just wanted to jump on in and just kind of get your creative juices thinking. If you're a jeweler and you want to pursue different paths, there's so many different paths to go down. If you're like jewelry and you're into computers, you can become a computer jewelry designer. And be busier than you want to be. I send out work all the time to different people because I don't have the time to finish them up myself. So I'm always looking for people to help and do stuff like that. So just like I said, if you want to become a jeweler, there's so many different avenues, but think about what kind of jewelry path and field you want to go into so that you don't get overwhelmed by all of the possibilities. So I just wanted to pop in and say, hey, part of the things that I do on this channel, there's 3 core values that we have. One of them is to educate, one is to equip, and one is to encourage. So this is kind of equipping and encouraging. So hopefully you find that helpful, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe to this page because I'm going to be trying to create a lot more content, probably a couple of videos a week, and we're going to be doing some live streaming here soon, within probably a week or two. So keep checking back and leave a comment. Reach out to me, Doug at JewelryMonk.com, if you have any questions. Take care. It's going to be a good day.